Joining us now, our hockey insider, Chris Johnston. And CJ, after the Blue Jackets and Mike Babcock both released statements last Tuesday denying any wrongdoing by the coach, 5 days later, Babcock is out. So what changed from then to now?
Well, really what happened here is some new information became available that wasn't known at the time last Tuesday when those statements went out. And this was after the NHLPA did some digging, started talking to more players. Marty Walsh, the new executive director of that organization, and Ron Hainsey, his lieutenant, were in Columbus to meet face-to-face with players. And what they found out from some of the younger members of the Blue Jackets organization is that they weren't comfortable with the way that Mike Babcock had dealt with them. And I do think some of this is relating to the allegations that were first raised by Spit and Chicklets to do with time on the phone and the photos. And ultimately, over the weekend, I think as this went out and the league got to its up to date on what had been found, the Blue Jackets and Babcock both decided that there's just no way to continue this forward, that there was no way he could coach the team, and ultimately they found a way to agree on his resignation on Sunday.
Yeah, so more to that, and why was it necessary here for the Blue Jackets to move on from Mike Babcock?
Well, I think, just that. Jarmo Kekalainen, the GM, John Davidson, the president, they had reason to wonder if they could send Mike Babcock back into that dressing room. And this is, really a almost unprecedented sort of circumstance, given that he never coached the team in a practice. He never had a training camp with them. Obviously, was never behind the bench for a game. I mean, these issues came out of meetings that were had over the summer after Mike Babcock's hiring, and I think ultimately they undermined his ability to do the job. And so when it became clear that that was just something they weren't going to be able to push through, this wasn't a singular issue they could get by, there was only one choice left, and that was to part ways and go in another direction.
Now, bigger picture here, Chris. After what's transpired here in Columbus, do you see Babcock ever coaching again in the NHL?
Absolutely not. I don't see any way back at this point in time. And, what I'll tell you is that there were people that wondered if we'd see Mike Babcock back in the NHL after a stint in Toronto, right? It was more than 3.5 years that he was out of the league, away from the game, away from the public eye, largely during his time away. And some teams had approached him during that time, and he wasn't interested in a job. And so, this was already going to be his last job, I would say, in the NHL. I think that that's the way he was viewing it, as potentially a chance to have a little bit of fun at the end of his career, have a bit of a swan song. But with the way this is unraveled and the manner it's happened, I don't see Mike Babcock seeking employment, and I certainly don't think another team will come knocking on his door trying to hire him.
Another reminder that being involved with the NHL, it's a privilege, not a right. He's our hockey insider, Chris Johnston. Thanks for this.